Good morning. I have a story for you, or good afternoon, depending on what class you're in. Here we go. Mrs. Bullard woke up when Mrs. Bullard's alarm went off. Mrs. Bullard stumbled to Mrs. Bullard's kitchen to turn on Mrs. Bullard's coffee pot. While waiting for the coffee to brew, Mrs. Bullard grabbed Mrs. Bullard's favorite mug. Think to yourself, what's odd about my story? Yes, I repeated my name way too many times. And an easy way to fix that are with these little words we call pronouns. And that's what our language would sound like if we didn't have pronouns. Thank goodness we have pronouns to make our language a lot easier to speak and write. So today we're going to be talking about pronoun case, and you should have your paper copy of the pronoun guide and a pencil. If you don't have that ready, pause the video, get yourself organized, and we'll move forward. Part one, analyzing student writing. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to read some incorrect sentences to you, and then I want you to notice the correct version of those sentences. Focus on the pronouns, and I'm going to point those out to you. And then when we're done, you're going to answer two reflection questions, okay? So, number one, me wanted to eat something before practice. I sound like Cookie Monster or a caveman or something when I read that. The correct version of this sentence is instead of me, we should say I wanted to eat something before practice. Number two, Grandma gave I a necklace. That should be Grandma gave me a necklace. Change I to me, and then it's correct. Number three, Charlotte and me planned the party. Actually, the correct way to say that is Charlotte and I planned the party. And then number four, incorrect is Coach gave Brendan and I extra laps. Instead of I, it should be Coach gave Brendan and me extra laps. All right, based on those sentences, the first reflection question is in your own words, what are pronouns and what is their purpose? And then the second question is based on the sentences, what could you say about using the pronouns I and me in sentences? Take a moment to write your reflections down, and then we'll come back and I'll share my reflections. Okay, in my own words, what are pronouns and what is their purpose? I said pronouns are words that take the place of nouns. That's what they are. Their purpose is to keep our writing clear by not repeating nouns over and over, like the Mrs. Bullard story in her coffee. That's why we have them. Number two, based on those sentences that way I just read, the incorrect and correct ones, I noticed that the I and me pronouns were placed in different spots in the sentence. For example, the pronoun I was usually at the beginning of the sentence, and the pronoun me was towards the end of the sentences. Go back and check those out if you didn't notice that. All right, part two. Notes on, I'm going to call them subject and object pronouns, even though it says subjective and objective. Let's just make it easy subject and object pronouns. So I'm just going to go over these key points about those two kinds of pronouns, and then we're going to go into the activities. So you probably remember this from elementary school. The subject of a sentence is the noun that's doing the action. It's performing the verb, okay? For example, Susan drank the coffee. Susan is your subject because Susan is what the sentence is about, and she performed the verb, the action drank, okay? So Susan's the subject because she's doing the action. Now, the object of the sentence is the noun that's receiving the action or having the action performed upon it. So it comes after the verb. Susan drank the coffee. Susan did the action, but the action was performed on the object coffee. Coffee is considered the object of the sentence. Here's my version to make this a whole lot easier. This is what Miss Bullard says, okay? If you can remember this order, things are going to be very easy for you. Subject comes first, then the verb, then the object. That's all you really need to know. And I use the acronym SVO. So subject pronouns, when we talk about them, they're going to come before the verb, the action, just like I in those sentences above. Object pronouns are going to come after the verb, just like the pronoun me in the sentences above. So my example, she helped him. She is a subject pronoun because it comes before the verb helped. And him we call an object pronoun because it comes after the verb help. If you notice, the most important thing is to look for the verb first, help, that's the action in the sentence. If it comes before, it's subject. If it comes after, it's object. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, okay? So study this little box. It's not in your notes. If you can find a place to add this to your notes, I would highly suggest that, because knowing this is going to make everything a lot easier for you. Take some time to do that now, and then we'll move forward. All right, the next part of your notes says subject and object pronouns. Pronouns take the place of nouns and make our writing more clear. We know this already. Second bullet, when choosing which pronoun to use, you must know if the noun you're replacing is the subject or object in the sentence. If it's the subject of the sentence, a subject pronoun has to replace it. That makes sense, right? Subject pronoun, subject of the sentence. If it's the object in a sentence, if it comes after the verb, an object pronoun must replace it. It matches object of the sentence, object pronoun. Don't worry about this third bullet about prepositions. We're not talking about those today. We don't need to. Just draw a line through that. That's not necessary. I'm going to try and keep it easy for you. So here are your subject pronouns. These are the pronouns that come before the verb. I, you, he, she, we, and they. Notice your list is missing the pronoun it. I need you to add this to the list. I don't know why Common Lit left it off the list, but it needs to be there. That is a subject pronoun. Do that now. All right, Susan's the subject of the sentence, so we need to use the subject pronoun she. Terry and Maya are the subject of the sentence, so it's two people. We're going to use the subject pronoun they. Notice how they come before the verb drank and drove, okay? Object pronouns come after the verb. Here's your list: me, you, him, her, us, them, and it. Notice how they come at the end of the sentence. They're coming after the verbs. Susan drank coffee from the coffee mug. That's the object of the sentence, so we need the object pronoun it to replace it. Susan drank from it. Drank is the verb. It comes after. That's why we call it object pronoun. Sharon scolded Henry and Isabel. Well, Henry and Isabel come after the verb scolded, so they're the object of the sentence. And because it's more than one person, we're going to use the object pronoun them to replace them. Sharon scolded them after the verb. All right, take some time to study these two boxes here. They're very helpful boxes. And then we're going to move on to practice. All right, so part 3 is where we're going to get into our practice. You're going to choose the correct subject or object pronoun to complete each sentence. So what I want you to do is first look for the verb and then ask yourself, does it come before subject pronoun or after object pronoun, the verb? For example, I hope Danielle invites we or us to the party. What's the verb? The verb is invites. I literally want you to circle this on your paper. And you can even put a little V above it to remind yourself this is the verb. Now, does the pronoun come before or after? Yes, it's after. If it's after, we're going to use the object pronoun. And you can go back to this list here and check out those object pronouns if you need to. And there they are. So the object pronoun for this sentence should be us, because that's the object pronoun. That's what the answer is here. So what I want you to do now is to try 1 through 5. First, circle the verb, the action. I'll give you a hint for this first one. There's your verb. Ask yourself, does it come before or after? If it comes before, it's the subject pronoun, and you should put the subject pronoun here in the box. Go ahead and do that and come back to check your answers. All right, number 1 is a subject pronoun, so it should be I because it comes before the verb. Number 2, the verb is wanted, that's the action. It comes after the verb, so it's the object pronoun, us. Number 3, the verb is didn't know. It comes before the verb, so we need the subject pronoun, she. Number 4, have is the verb, that's the action. It comes after the verb, so it's the object pronoun, her. And then the last one, The verb is have, and it comes before the verb, so we're going to use the subject pronoun we. Make sure that she and we are capitalized because those are the first words in the sentence. Make sure you have all the correct answers, your verbs are circled, and then we'll move forward when you're ready. So here's a list I made. Just it's a lot easier to see. I highly encourage you to memorize this list if you don't know them already. Your subject pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Notice they come before the verb. And then your object pronouns are me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. They come after the verb. Yes, we have some repeats. You is repeated, and um, it is also repeated, but it depends on where it is in the sentence, whether it's a subject or an object. Take a minute to try and memorize these, and then we'll move forward. So I do have to share this video with you. When I was your age, Schoolhouse Rocks videos were really popular, and they're educational videos. We'd watch them on Saturday mornings before our cartoons. And this one is about pronouns, and I need to pass this along to the next generation. So I want you to enjoy this Schoolhouse Rocks pronouns video.
Now I have a friend named Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla, and I could say that Rufus found a kangaroo that followed Rufus home, and now that kangaroo belongs to Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla. Whew, I could say that, but I don't have to, because I got pronouns I can say. He found a kangaroo that followed him home, and now it is his. You see, he, him, and his are pronouns replacing the noun. Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla, a very proper noun, and it is a pronoun replacing the noun kangaroo. How common. Now Rufus has a sister named Rafaela Gabriela Sarsaparilla. If she found a kangaroo, I'd say to you, she found a kangaroo that followed her home, and now it is hers. But I can't say that, because she found an aardvark that fell in love with her, and they're so happy. And my name's Albert Andrea Samadilla, no relation to the sarsaparillas. Because of pronouns I can say, I wish she would find a rhinoceros for me, and we'd be happy. You see, a pronoun was made to take the place of a noun, because saying all those nouns over and over can really wear you down. Now I can tell you Rafaela Gabriela and Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla and Albert Andreas Armadillo found an aardvark, a kangaroo, and a rhinoceros. And now that aardvark and that kangaroo and that rhinoceros belong respectively to Rafaela Gabriela Sarsaparilla and Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla and Albert Andreas Armadillo. Because of pronouns I can say in this way, we found them and they found us, and now they are ours, and we're so happy. Thank you, pronouns. You see, a pronoun was made to take the place of a noun, because saying all those nouns over and over can really wear you down. Sometimes when we take them all on the bus, people really raise a fuss. They start shouting out a lot of pronouns at us, like, who brought that rhinoceros on this bus? And what made that horrible noise? And which one of them getting off first? Who, what, and which are special pronouns that can ask a question in a sense where you do not know the name of the noun. But I know, I have mine and she has hers, and he has his and you have yours. They love us and we love them. What's ours is theirs, that's how it is with friends. And pronouns, you are really friends, yeah. Cause saying all those nouns over and over can really wear you down.
I hope you enjoyed that little flashback to the 1970s because, yes, that's when these little videos came out. So, good job. We finished our first section of our pronoun guide. Make sure your name is on it, and you're going to return this to your teacher today, and then you can return to Google Classroom for your next assignment.